Hi everybody, it's Lorraine Murray here from Connected Kids. It's very nice to see you all, and I apologise for not doing one of these video blogs last week. The week before I was in Copenhagen having a wonderful time teaching the Connected Kids course, so I needed some time to catch up with all my paperwork and things last week. So that's my excuse. But I'm back and I'm really looking forward to giving you a little bit of an insight into how meditation is more than just something we can use for relaxation. And this is really born from something that happened when I was away, where I was sent a link to an article which was all about the debate over whether or not to vaccinate children and the potential that this may cause or contribute to autism. I'm not saying the article was fantastic or particularly well written, but I did post it on my Teach Children Meditation campaign page on Facebook because I was a bit divided in how I felt about it. And it was really interesting reading the responses to the article, to the whole concept, and some very heated responses. It really provoked some strong reactions. And it got me thinking about how difficult it is to make a decision sometimes on something that affects the health and well-being of your child and your children. Because on one hand, say for the example of the vaccinations, there's evidence to support that having the vaccinations is really important to avoid childhood diseases, which could be quite devastating. And then on the other hand, there is evidence to support saying that actually it's worse if children get the vaccination and it can cause all sorts of issues. So I think parents and sometimes teachers too are in a very difficult place, a very difficult place to make a decision over the health and well-being of children. And you know, when I face a really difficult decision, I actually use meditation to help me make that decision. And for those of you who've maybe never practiced meditation, that might sound very odd. But if I just explain to you what I mean by that. When we are living our day-to-day life, we get very caught up in the stress of life. Sometimes it affects our ability to think clearly. Sometimes we get very logical and very analytical about things, and we also generalise. We make strong generalisations about different aspects of life, and particularly in relation to children. And if there's one thing that working with children with special needs, and particularly autism, has taught me, is that they are really quite unique, which is one of the reasons why I think the medical profession are a little bit baffled as to the best approach, because there isn't one approach, there's many different approaches. But when you're faced with a decision, any parenting decision that affects your child, any teaching decision that affects the children that you teach, or perhaps a professional decision that, you know, is based on the children that you work with, of course it's important to do your research. Of course it's important to look at what evidence presents itself to you. But then I take this information into my meditation and I sit with it and I broaden my mind as to the whole approach of what feels right for the children that I'm working with, or if it were your case, your own children. Because sometimes there may be, say in the case of the vaccinations, there may be cases where that vaccination is absolutely right for that child because it's needed to prevent the childhood diseases, and they will be absolutely fine with it. There are other times where, for certain children, they couldn't cope with the MMR, but they can cope with the distribution of the vaccinations on a separate, when they're separated, as opposed to being all contained within the one vaccination. And then there may be children who, from your own deep sense of heartfelt feeling, that their immune systems just would not cope with a vaccination of that nature. And therefore the decision comes from deep within you. And it isn't about ignoring the logical mind, but it is about allowing our intuitive mind to work hand in hand with our logical mind and not be driven by fear, but certainly be supported by trust. And I teach some of this in my classes because when people come on the course and they think about teaching children meditation, you know, of course it's logically makes sense to learn how to write scripts and to understand how meditation works. But when you're delivering a meditation, if you only work from a script or you work in a logical way, there's a huge part of that meditation which is missed, which is the intuitive and heartfelt sense that comes through the words or the guidedness that comes through that meditation. And I've seen this time and time again. And we are absolutely terrified of making the wrong decision. But meditation takes you into a much bigger perspective of life than this. And every experience that comes into your life is there to teach you something. For those of you who have your own children, think about what they've taught you. Think about what they teach you, the tolerance they try and help you to learn, the patience, and the joy, the playfulness, the creativity. And for people who have children with special needs, I think that's accentuated. I think our frustration and our fear comes from not being able to identify our children in the way that other people identify their children. And these children are unique and have very, very special gifts to share. So I wanted to just share that with you because I really feel that sometimes we just think of meditation as being a nice relaxation technique, or perhaps it's something to just de-stress ourselves, or we just want to teach our children so they have a good night's sleep, and that goes for us too. And of course it can be all those things, but it's way, way more than just a stress reducing technique. It has really got the potential to teach you what your inner teacher, what your inner guide, I like to call it, is trying to communicate with you. And we all have that, and we all know we have that. Sometimes we choose to ignore it. So I just wanted to touch on that. There's no easy answers, and I think that's why this debate that started up on Facebook about this whole issue of the vaccinations and autism, this really made me think about it. And also when I was looking at the posts, I was really aware of the frustration and anger that came through the posts. And I'm a great believer that anger doesn't come from outside. Nobody makes you angry. The anger is already within. And somebody says or does something and it shows you how much anger you're holding on to. And I speak from personal experience on this, so I'm not sitting here in judgment of anyone. I'm talking about myself, as well as others who that may resonate with. So, if something makes you really angry or upset, again, meditation is a wonderful way to see where the seed of that frustration or that feeling of upset or the anger sits within you, where its origins are. Not from the display of an interaction with someone, but where it really has its roots deep within you. And once you become aware of that, my goodness, that's a really important part of your healing journey. It's really incredible. So I hope that this has given you some food for thought. Often I talk about tips and ideas for teaching kids meditation, but actually on the courses we work so much with the adults that it's really important that you guys have tips for you as well. I wanted to share that. I hope you found that useful. And if there's anything that's come up you want to email me about, please do on info@teachchildrenmeditation.com. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.